The inaugural ceremony came to its conclusion now, and we look forward to the session Balancing Reality by Mr. Vivian Gomes. Vivian Gomes is an experienced human-centered design professional, hands-on and practical to the core. He believes that the insights at the intersection of user needs, technology, and business help create highly effective and innovative products and solutions, defining a brand on the foundation of design. His strength lies in creating a vision for experience design, crafting compelling stories, and developing a solutions design ecosystem across the multiple media and devices for a connected, seamless end user experience for customers for a variety of industries. He is also a teacher, mentor, and a usability or UX specialist with a successful track record of innovating, creating, delivering by collaborating, motivating, and working with local and globally disparate design teams, studios, stakeholders, and partners. Vivian enjoys interfacing with customers globally and with internal and external partners to bring innovative and disruptive design ideas to life. He thrives on managing and mentoring creative talent, collaborating with multidisciplinary teams, maneuvering through project and business challenges, and most importantly, envisioning and conceptualizing intuitive, cohesive, immersive design experiences that delight users and profit end customers. On a day-to-day basis, Vivian plays many roles, driving creation of compelling products and solution portfolios for customers that include healthcare, social innovation, in community uplifting programs, design and application, retail, analytic and data science, military, government, GIS, payment or finance, social, search and e-commerce, technology, and so on. He has been working with core management team of many leading organizations and on company boards as an advisor. He, is, he has set up many design innovations lab across the globe to make the ideas come to life. Focusing on future of design needs, he has built UX design teams impact in a culture of design thinking, mentored design managers and leaders, set up global design centers and design research labs in India, Europe, Asia, UK, Middle East, and USA. A certified design thinking trainer from Luma Institute, Pittsburgh and UX design mentor on Google Launchpad and TN operation system. He leads by example to drive a cultural transformation in organizations through design. We are extremely happy to have such a wonderful personality to handle a session in our prestigious program. I hereby welcome you, sir, to handle the session. Sir, please.
Thank you so much. That was a lot. Anyway, thank you so much, and I hope I live up to a fraction of whatever you spoke. I'm at your service. So, without much delay, I'm going to start sharing my screen. First of all, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Very good.
I'm going to share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. Okay, I won't delay much. First of all, I just want to ask a question. How many people are on a laptop? They can interact with me. How many of you? Quite a few. Okay. So welcome. Thank you again for having me here. We are a little over time, I guess. I have something prepared here. I didn't have any slide deck, so I started this morning, my time, late afternoon actually. I thought, let me put down something because all of you are way beyond my levels, of course. So I come from a world where I've been doing my entrepreneurship right from the age of 16, 17, done many startups, some of them successful, some of them failed miserably, some of them were disasters, some of them super successful, raised organizations and did a lot. And I found there's a tightrope between our education system, wonderful teachers that I've had who have helped me nurture and grow, to the reality, and that's what I call the tightrope walk. The balancing reality between what we need as entrepreneurship skills, essential skills, and a lot more. This is me, Vivian Gomes. Already a lot people spoke about. I don't go with designations much, but for the sake of understanding, I worked about 8 to 9 years in each of the above companies: Hallmark, Disney, HP, Human Factor Research and Design, and Schnorr, which means God's Grace. Recently in San Francisco, the design studio that we have. Of course, you can scan and connect with me. Um, I have been a part of many organizations actively. Very most recently, I'm on the SWAT Center for Entrepreneurship in Carnegie Mellon University. I am the chair and founder of University of Design San Francisco. It's a new university under making. Hopefully, we will collaborate. I also mentor and do review at MIT Tech Global Panel. I'm part of a mural, which is the digital whiteboard sharing technology you would be experiencing a little later today. Part of Google for startups for a long time, since 2015, and ADP, which founded last year, like young boys like Gen Robotics. They founded two of them, and is now one of the world's largest mentoring community of over 6,500 global mentors, 23,000 mentees, and so on. I'm also part of Austria's University of Vienna and Graz Quality Certification Center for Experience Design, World Usability Congress, and the Savvy UX Summit. These are just avenues for me to help connect our teams, our people, our students, our startups from India around the world. So because we become conduits for them, I believe. There has been a transformation acceleration. I'm sure everybody will believe and agree with me on that. Primarily because every forecast of 2020, X 2019, 18, whatever you want to say, everything went down when COVID hit in late 2019 and 2020 onwards. It just accelerated transformation. People were not even ready. Some of our customers and situations, like when the announcement came for lockdowns, they were still hurtling up. Thousands of people suddenly on a Friday had to decide that Monday onwards there's going to be no work, no place, schools, colleges, workplaces, houses, literally every thinkable area was brought under a full stop, and that impacted all areas, and there was a paradigm shift to the way forward. Nobody was prepared, but this was already known for, as World Economic Forum says, it's the fourth industrial revolution, just that it got fast forward. What is the fourth industrial revolution doing to us? There's a complete disruption of business models, all kinds of business models. Whatever we have thought, learned, books suddenly become non-relevant at some points of time on these business models and so on. Even reports by famous organizations, the McKinseys, the PwCs, the Gartners, all had to take a step back. Innovation and productivity is completely disrupted at this point of time, as all the honorable leaders of MES and the team over here spoke about today. There are edgy technologies. Some of them, you get surprised almost every day, every now and then, about what people are thinking about and entrepreneurship growing. And are we left behind? Not too far, but yes, we are not at the equity of the world as far as entrepreneurship goes, and the necessary essential skills. I want to recall here a couple of things that I heard while we were listening on everything related to knowledge service, social integration of things, technical knowledge, job procedures or relevant to jobs, then challenge knowledge, what was the entrepreneurship and risk relation, that is as far as China is concerned. And the other thing that I summarized was that most of the focuses are on tasks, technology, job. There was one missing aspect which I'm going to cover today. And I hope we have consensus, and we can, of course, connect back later. So that brings to something that's part of us as humans is ethics and identity. All over the world, there's a huge change in the organizations. Intolerance to certain things and tolerance to certain things as well. Agile technology governance has superseded. Disruptions of jobs and skills, security and conflict, you name it all. It's just a little list, and this is not mine, this is what the World Economic Forum says. So, this is the era of continuous transformation. The era that we are on. Almost everything is tech stack, tech heavy, and all of that. So, what does it mean? There is a cultural shift, and I've been seeing this cultural shift for a very, very long time. In my own experience, when I was in Hallmark, and we used to, I used to work on the traditional product and product engineering paper, transforming paper into various products for all kinds of things that Hallmark was known for. I'm not sure how many of you have ever bought a Hallmark card in India. Most likely it has undergone, or it went through my design division. We used to do 14 to 15,000 products a year based out of Pune, and then later in Goa. Um, but then print industry was coming to almost an end, and I jumped ship and I moved digital. So unless and until we move our skills and transform with the era of that point, every decade there is huge changes, and now that's much shorter. Transformation is the only continuity. I will come back to that again, back and forth. But let's look at some cultural shifts then and now: the 20th century culture and the 21st century culture of innovation. Entrepreneurship is all about innovation. Innovation, many words, many aspects of it. But let's look at a few. The olden times, the 20th century, not long ago, we were told, don't question, execute, job oriented. Our fathers probably are our family members, and we ourselves, some of us must have gone through this kind of a cultural attitude. Uh, Good in its own place, but today it's about problem framing, questioning, and researching deeper. The older model was about business and technology centricity, uh, and now it's about empathetic and human centered. Quite a lot of it. We heard about society, we heard about social entrepreneurship from Honorable Dr. Tharoor, and so also from the various other examples that we heard today. The older version of work was waterfall and linear, top-down approach, and the new one is now seen to be iterative and agile. Are we ready for it? Don't know. Maybe not. Let's see what it unfolds. Uh, Previously, it was command and control. We had those factory sirens. You had for lunch break, for getting in, getting out, everything. There was a siren that used to come on. When I was growing up, there were a lot of factories around where I lived, where I grew up, and we could hear this. We used to call it Maharashtra Bhonga, means the loud factory horn, and we'd know what was 10 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock. So everything was run by command and control. Today it's different. It's team of teams. There are no sirens in a technology or a startup ecosystem. You work non-stop, and you work as a team in a different culture altogether. There was cooperation between individuals and silos in the olden time, but now it is collaboration among cross-functional teams. I, I'm more than overwhelmed and surprised these days about the amount of collaboration that happens between teams that are almost impossible. For example, the front-end design versus the engineering versus the material sciences versus cognitive psychology or psychologists which are working with teams, wellness, equity, and so on and so forth. Quite a lot of change in cross-functional teams. Requirements used to drive prototypes and very descriptive that, okay, this is our requirement, this is what you should produce. But now it is the other way around. We build prototypes, just like the Gen Robotics team, Vimal and Rashid and all. They build that walking Iron Man. They heard a story, and then the rest is history on how those young boys disrupted an area which was never even imaginative, visual, very, very relevant to the shift in culture of innovation. It's there within our youth. Earlier it used to feel like work, but now it feels like serious play. I mean, these handful of success stories that we've heard of, they hardly, many times I call up Vimal, or we're texting or chatting, and he's up at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, doing some unit testing, and so also with the rest of the boys. It's amazing. So, given all of these culture shift backgrounds, there are certain, so recent World Economic Forum, I'm a member of a certain section of its outcomes and services that are evaluated. We we recently found, and I'll give you the link for it later with Professor Vishal, to see the report for yourself, on perceived skills for groups with growing demand for 2025: critical thinking, problem solving, self-management, working with people, management, communication, and so on and so forth. Now, if you take a minute, and if I ask you, here are the top 15 skills of 2025 that were expected. I'll take a little break here and share a screen with you, a live mural board. Mural is a digital whiteboard. So if you look up your chat, you're going to get a link. Just sign in as a guest. The system automatically will give you a name, but you can even type in your own name and come and join me over here on this whiteboard. Just join in. Okay, and over here on the right, on the left hand side, you see post-its, or you can just double click here. If you zoom in on your mouse, you zoom in and zoom out. I would like to learn from you that what is the problem statement, like how might we build entrepreneurship and essential skills. This is a collaborative quick brainstorming for about 5 minutes. I'll take your time. We'll just experiment with this. What, according to me, according to each of you, is it entrepreneurship and essential skills? So you can take a post-it here, double click, zoom on it, and write, let's say, technology. Just write one word, or just one or two lines, and put a post-it here. Or you can go here and write an essential skill. Okay, let's say coding. I don't know, whatever you may want to put over here. And please add over here and over here as many post-its as you can. We have 50 plus people, I think. Even if one post-it you write, we'll have 50 ideas for entrepreneurship skills and 50 on essential skills. Let's give this a 5 minute, not more than that, with respect to everybody's time. I'm going to start a timer now. Very easy. Let's get going. Let's see what you can do. You can also add images if you want. Like, for example, see here. So I can add things like this. You can add an image also. You see this? So you can add things like that as an image. So please join me. Some of you have come here. Is it easy? Even are you able to join? Is everybody able to see this and join?
Sir, I have joined. Sir, I have joined. Mohammed Bawa. I have joined, sir.
Okay, very good. Rennie, we don't need to go to Jamboard. You can use the mural itself. You don't have to use the Jamboard. You can use the mural. Let's learn over here and see what happens. What are the skills? I just want to see if you guys, if everybody here can write. Okay, looks like there's a bit of a struggle here. No problem. But this is one of the ways of how things work in today's times. Let me continue to go forward. You can do that at any point of time. I will move forward with that. So okay, that was just a concept of how a new skill that we are faced with, especially for the last 1.5 year. I'm continuing. You can stop being at the mural and come back to the presentation, please. Don't worry about it. You can have the link and play with it later. So among the 15 skills that the World Economic Forum thought to be very useful. If you look at it, give it a second, okay, and see, what do you see? There are just two of them which talk about technology use and monitoring, or technology design and programming. Most of them, over 90% of them, are to do with other kind of skills. So what are we really doing? Are we really balancing the reality of what we need to move and become the top? Why is it that we should always have a Tesla or Facebook and Apple and all of these various brands that you hear from somewhere else, and not our own? um, uh, it sometimes pains me, and I'm sure you can forgive me for this, is that we do not have a two-wheeler which we can call our own. Like, say for example, the scooter that we had, the Bajaj one, it was a take from from an Italian brand. When you take the other innovations that we are using, most of them, though the top of the minds of all of these are based out of our country, our lands, but we have not been able to make the breakthroughs wherein the capability does exist. So what are we missing here in between uh, getting our youth, getting our programs to match with what the requirement is? Please bear with me, forgive me for being a little mysterious, but we will get there. There are answers to all of these things. And you can scan this report, as I told you, and you can download the report and check it out for yourself, what the World Economic Forum does. You can take your mobile phone and scan the QR code, and you will get the report. So I will continue to move forward, and I'll come back to this aspect of concern that I'm talking over here. That is, today technology controls what you search on the internet, what you shop on an Alibaba or an Amazon, or whatever that may be, what you watch on your TV, the food you buy, your Swiggies and so on, the posts that people post on Twitter and other places. Literally, the social media is running lives. And what you know about your friends' lives, every little bit, sometimes automatically it says, person arrived here and left there and went here and ate there. So that's about what's happening all around us. But how much of it is human centered, people centered? That's a big question that we need to understand and answer. Pretty important, don't you think so? So I keep shifting between things, so I'm going to move to yet another small experience with you, and show you this video. Please tell me if you can hear it.
Yes, we can.
Okay.
No, sir.
Yes, sir. Lagging or not?
ഇല്ല സൗണ്ട് ഇല്ല.
Vivian sir, not audible, sir.
Sir, voice is not, audio is not audible.
Vivian sir, could you share this thing in a new tab? Then audio will be working.
Sir, it's mute. Please unmute, sir. Sir, you are mute.
Oh, okay, understood.
Uh,
Can you hear me now?
yes, sir, yes. Vivian sir, could you share this thing in a new tab? Then it will be working, sir.
Was brutally bludgeoned to death with a blunt instrument. I want each of you to tell me your whereabouts at precisely the time that this dastardly deed took place?
I was polishing the brass in the master bedroom.
I was buttering his lordship's Gomes below stairs, sir.
I was planting my petunias in the potting shed. Constable, arrest Lady Smythe. But how did you know? Madam, as any horticulturist will tell you, one does not plant petunias until May is out. Take her away. It's just a matter of observation. The real question is, how observant were you?
So let me ask you, how observant were you? What did you notice? Did you notice any changes? You can put in the chat if you notice anything, a number, or did you see anything? You don't have to hear. Don't worry about the hearing. But did you notice anything on the video in the murder mystery? Did you notice any changes? You can raise your hand or type it in the chat. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah, so did anybody notice anything in that video which I just showed?
A bear is changed to a statue, sir.
Only
Behind
changed to a statue? Okay, I will anyway share this link for you to check later. But in the meantime, watch what happens, okay? There are 21 changes that happen over there. In that, look at the difference.
Clearly, somebody in this room murdered Lord Smythe, who, at precisely 3:34 this afternoon, was brutally bludgeoned to death with a blunt instrument. I want each of you to tell me your whereabouts at precisely the time that this dastardly deed took place.
I was polishing the brass in the master bedroom.
I was buttering his lordship's Gomes below stairs, sir.
I was planting my petunias in the potting shed. Constable, arrest Lady Smythe.
So there is a message in that I wanted to share with you. You can watch this later as well. Let me get back to this slide. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. So you must be wondering what did I show the video for? So we are a very different kind of species. We are human beings, right? Everything that we see around us is not necessarily what it is. People are visual. Human beings are very, very visual in whatever way we can think about it. Now, we'll go through a little bit of a series of some more question and answer, and I hope that we have some interactivity. But it's okay if somebody wants to speak, fine. If you don't speak, I will continue to move forward in view of time. Just to give you an example, if I told you, think of an apple. Of course, some of you have seen my screen just now. But if I say, think of an apple, would it be this one?
No.
How many of you thought of this one?
Me.
Quite a few of you.
Sir.
Yeah. Now, if you look at it, I will show you a series of images. And if I ask you what these might have been, take a look at them, take a deep look, and think through what I'm showing you here. What was the image 3 actually having in it? Can somebody tell me?
Sir, garage.
What was in the garage?
There was a vehicle as well as tools for maintenance or something. And another figure, it was like something related to arts and drawings.
Was it? What else was there? What did you see in the last picture?
A set of pencils and brushes.
Let me go back. It was just one pencil. And the garage was not the third one. The garage was the second one, the first and the second. Uh, Basically, if you look at it, our minds can only see one or two. Now, I take this experiment many times. I could have asked you for a detail, but our processing doesn't happen the way we think it can happen. So, our thought process, our way of visualizing things, eh, though being very pictorial, is also not the way we think. You would be surprised to know that physical properties or conditions is just 10%. Like, it's very difficult to remember that. But most of the processing happens from our brains. You probably have seen a garage sometime, or you've seen some of those things, and you can easily reprocess that from your brain and not necessarily from whatever you see, because details are missing. Our brains are not like a camera which can capture everything and give you a detail. Machine learning or image capturing shows much of those things. 10%, just 10% is why it is much easier to recognize something rather than recalling it from memory. That's how we are built in, hardwired. Are we training right? Are we educating, training, and building the skills of being human? We are all human beings, though we're talking about AI, technology, disruptions, and all of those parts of it. Hold this thought in your mind, and we'll move forward. What do you think of that? What the image that you just saw quickly? What do you think is that? Can somebody answer me on that?
Staircase.
Anybody else?
Light and at the end of the light at the end of the tunnel or something like that.
Okay, I get many different answers for that one. Actually, it is a spiral staircase. It's not a tunnel; it's top-down view, and it's how we look at it. If you look at it carefully, it looks like steps going towards a tunnel, but it's actually steps going downwards in a spiral. So the perspective of things are always different when you look at it from your mental standpoint of what it's going to show you. Sorry, there was a little technical glitch on my slide. I apologize. Now, a few more questions. What do you see on my screen, or on your screen rather?
Handmade paper.
Handmade paper. Actually, it's a close-up of a paper. What about this?
A crushed
Crinkled
paper.
paper. Crinkled paper.
A crumpled paper. Yeah, of course, a crumpled paper. What about this? It's some writing on a paper, correct? Do you recognize it? Not really.
No.
What about this?
Calligraphy.
Calligraphy or something like that.
Yeah, don't struggle, because even I can't read it. It's not in English.
Yes. They're just scribbling something.
What about this? How many of you read this?
I think it is in Russian.
Yeah, very good, very close. But can you read it? Not really. What about this now? It's more clearer, right? There are post-its. It has some
Yes.
things written down. You can understand. What if I just took away all of these things and jumbled it in pieces of wooden letters like this? Would this make sense to you?
No.
Not really, right? What about this? Now it suddenly makes sense, right?
Yes.
Or if I put it like this, you say, oh, I can read. Even though it's like kept far away with some cues on a notebook, notes, you can understand. Our human minds, the way we have been wired, and if you have children around you and the way you've seen things, we begin with picture understanding first. We say T for turtle, A for apple, B for ball, pointing our fingers at the animal and then representing. If I never showed, let's say if you never showed a kid the fruit apple and said A for apple, and let the imagination be, and if you actually bought an apple in front of the kid or the person at a certain age, the chances are 100% that you won't have any recognition of what that object is. Many times you must have seen that, hey, what is this object? Where is it? Even in our older experiences, I traveled around. Many times I see foods I can't recognize because I can't put a name to it. It was never introduced to me. So the way we learn is by by picture first and then the letter. The letter associates with the picture in our head. We are visual people, which is very important to know from our point of view. And now to that, if I say expressions, I don't have to write these expressions. If I put this, how many of you know what they mean? If I put that on a, you must be doing on your WhatsApp.
Emojis.
Yeah, emojis and things. These are, stress balls with emojis on it. But you can easily tell the first one what it means, the second one. But there are no letters written over here. It's coming from your mind saying. Now, if I put this to you, smile, it could immediately you can recognize that this child, beautiful child's face is not crying. You'll see she is smiling, or all these wonderful kids here. Similarly, if I said fruit, what would you think? Different people from different backgrounds. I don't know which is your favorite fruit, but was it this one or this one, a beautiful strawberry? Or how many people ever think about a watermelon as a fruit, or a lemon for that matter? Or if I say, think of a fidget. Fidget means something that you fidget with your hand, and would you remember something like this? Chances are no. Now, what am I trying to do over here? Is it a psychological game? Not really. It just shows that we human are visual people. So with that, given a background of how construction of words and images happen, now if I say, hey, you are an amazing human, each of you, you got this. Do you agree? I'm just pictorially speaking to you, and you are able to understand. This has got nothing to do with the technology or engineering or a field of accountancy or any of the subjects that we learn. And this is disrupting the way things are to be solved for people. So if I say button now, did you think of the one on the left or one on the right? Or did you think of this one? And when you see this one, would you want to make an action that, oh, I've got to do this? Or if you're a tech savvy, design person, you may even think of these as the buttons, right? So what am I coming to? This is just the background of what I wanted to just share with you, very importantly, that design and man is inseparable, right? From the prehistoric people to all kinds. We have constantly fashioned things by designing. Engineering came as the second subset, or all the other things comes afterwards. Our brains, the way we are hardwired, is all visual, with things to think of by drawing first. Even in your engineering drawings, I did all kinds of engineering by helping friends do their submissions in my growing up days. Electrical engineering, mechanical, civil, including MBBS friends of mine. I helped them with their submissions. So kind of picked up knowledge from those fields. But what it means is that mankind has forever visualized the future, the ability to do that and design things to extend human reach. That includes technology, that includes every kind of innovation that is there to do. Today, a kid in Africa with a smartphone has instant access to more knowledge than the President of the United States 15 years ago. Take that for example for anywhere, even in the remotest villages. I did a project with Bihar government for empowerment of women who are totally uneducated, by giving them livelihood. The technology we use there has enabled them to reach far and extend their ability to earn from zero to earning at least a livelihood of having 1 to 2 meals a day to begin with. And how does that happen? Is because we created things that would help them, tools to extend reach. Let's take an example of, all of us are very familiar, especially for God's own country from Kerala, about farming, right? So if you take the example of farming, and how extension of design, or how mankind used visualize things and then design things, fashion things. The earliest known man used to take up trees and pull them across to till the land. Then they used animals. Animals converted to more animals in a structured manner, like the horses. Then they built carts, and the advent of the invention of wheel. But it is to extend the reach of farming, because more farm land had to be farmed. They even sat on it, on these contraptions, and built larger ways of doing more. If that was not enough, we built machines with the advent of new design of things to do faster and more complex work with more complex machines to do large areas of land, to the point now there's no more man, and we have autonomous farming happening with tools like these innovations that we see on vast areas of land. So more or less, every innovation thing, the rationale that we have, like this baby you see, funny image of the baby, is the satisfaction of thinking and sorting things from a visual perspective or point of view, from a very human-centered approach. And this is not left to only what we do; it's also to areas like the robot. This is a Boston Dynamics robot being taught what to do, like opening doors. Just take a look and watch what's happening. The robot is being taught with QR code and things, and these fine engineering geniuses who have built that robot to show how to react to resistance, and the experiment is being carried out. And this is early stage of the famous bot dog from Boston Dynamics. And it keeps teaching. The algorithm inside of these machines are learning from the way people are teaching the machine what to do next. And this goes on and on with every technology that we do. But in that case, what happens is it is relevant, it is left to the person who's doing the training of or designing the technology or whatever it may be. It is to understand that human-centered engineering is very important. Of course, this is just a doll and an experiment. Human-centered engineering, on anything for that matter, is super important because biases from us is reaching to the machines. I mean, there are many biases that come in. Today, we are not even aware of some of these biases. They are inherent because we are human beings, we are hardwired in certain ways. For example, overconfidence bias or anchoring bias, confirmation bias, and so on and so forth. There are so many of them. If you like me to elaborate on them some other time, I can walk you through quite a few of them and on how it happens. So known to us, a few of them, there are not too many, 180 on just cognitive biases. Is what is a cognitive bias? It's basically a pattern of deviation. I'm sure you have heard or known about it. And it is the way we make judgments, the way we take decisions, and so social and behavioral and all kinds of decisions that are based on what we think about these ways. This is the whole cognitive bias codex. But instead of complicating this, I don't want you to read all of these. I've marked out 4 important things for you. That the cognitive bias tells us that, okay, if I need to have certain skills and balance my thought process on just essential skills, it's not to have too much information, not enough meaning, need to act fast, and what should we remember. If you take care of these 4 areas, you're able to understand that how to remain agnostic of teaching things and making the right decisions. Otherwise, as some researchers have found out, and there is a story that goes that we will be working on a very technical or a complex problem which has irrelevance to almost anybody for that matter. That means creating things that are absolutely of no value at some point of time if it is not taken care of. For example, in the World War II, when the planes came back, they asked the pilots and the engineers of the aircrafts to go find out how they can fix and add more armor to these flights that were coming in. So they went, they looked at, counted the bullet holes and things like that, and they drew up a chart just like any engineering drawing would do. That, okay, here are the bullet holes, blah 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 blah, all these places, you see. So let us strengthen these areas and hit the armor. But there was a famous personality, Abraham Wald, his name was, in 1942. He said, "Gentlemen, you need to put more armor plates where the holes aren't, because those are the ones that didn't make it." That means we are open to looking at only problems and solving those in a certain manner. There are planes which never came back and they couldn't be studied, which the nose was already gone, or the hull was broken, or the tail was broken down, and they landed up not coming back. They were destroyed completely, and they didn't become part of the study. So was it the right way to do? From 1942 to now, we have had so many crashes and planes disappearing, and we've still not been able to solve certain problems because we only look at one aspect of it. It's the problem solving. But there is another aspect of it. What is that aspect? Is instead of being just the deficit focus, we also look at the asset base. So this is another AI called appreciative inquiry. We do a deeper session on this, but just for the point of view of understanding, because you are all very well tuned to understanding the deficit problem framing and looking at what you have. If you balance out these two things, you have something called the value-based innovation results. So normally what happens is you want to go from point A to point B, you kind of take issue focus, build, iterate, prototype, and come to a point, and then slide back into problem reframing and building. This is more or less on a larger perspective. But if you want to take a leap of faith, which is the higher one, and do constructive creativity, let's say, for example, you take the example of MP3 players. When MP3 players were around, Sony was a leader. But the way Apple thought of it, Steve Jobs, the famous poster boy of innovation, is that how might we make music listening or listening to music a better experience? They changed. It brought about iTunes. It brought about a different game of listening to music in a subscription model, completely building an ecosystem around software tools, services, streaming, all of that as an ecosystem, and getting more people to subscribe. The device only became a means to a larger end of an ecosystem. So there was a value-added, value-based innovation as a result. So when you look at these new possibilities, you move from the plodron or the mediocrity of innovation to something that is game-changing, absolutely new. For example, the Bandicoot robot is a game-changing. It has beaten all possibilities and recognition across the world, Europe, right now in Korea and US and so on and so forth places. That's a good example of that. We do have it. It's not so bad at that stage. The task, as Peter Drucker, the famous writer, says, the task of the leadership is to create an alignment of strength, making our weakness irrelevant. And that's what we have to do for our youth, for our children, that I may call children, but the one that we're empowering. And first to empower ourselves, because today we are in the experience making world. So experience is a make or break. Either you have a good experience or a bad experience, in whichever manner it may be, whether it's digital, physical, service, whatever you may think about. And the industry is pretty large. It's 641 billion by even just next year. The projectors spend on experience technology. You can look it up. This is the IDC spending guide report. So acquiring relevant skill makes business sense. So we need to understand. So this is just an example of divergence and convergence. If we are able to teach divergence and convergence, that means you diverge on a particular problem, define what the problem is, develop iterative solutions, go cyclic way, deliver those outcomes because you know exactly what you want to produce, and build a suggestion. You'll be surprised that most often when I meet startups in any area, whether it's China or Asia or India or Middle East, even leadership, we do strategic sessions with governments to change their strategy about youth, for example, in certain regions. We find that the biggest problem starts with the stakeholder mapping. Who is really involved and what might be your stakeholder? We need to build the skills of understanding who the stakeholders are, what are we getting into. Finally, they're people. The stakeholders are people. It's not technology. It's not the engineering. It's about who your alliances are going to be. The first point of contact, we can debate if I may be wrong, but the first point of contact is a human being. So human centricity or human-centered becomes more important for us. So understanding stakeholders, what are my connectivities, what are my points, What am I doing? What am I exchanging? And then building those use cases, building those is very important. We run these exercises actually. And once you've done that, then mapping the journey. Mapping the journey is so very important because you can see it from the point of view of even a simple trip from one point to the other, and you're sitting in a cab, and if the cab is taking the wrong route, you say, hey, you're supposed to go this way and not that way, because now you don't have to roll down your window of your car or stop your bike. You can see it on your smartphone because you can see the route. Why not that about an entrepreneurship? Why not that about how we empower our youth and empower our students and learners, even our own programs, our faculty programs, our teaching programs, to understand, okay, if I have a class from point A to point B, the journey for the students, what are going to take away? What's the value add that we are adding to their lives as an entrepreneur with these essential skills? Now, if you look at the MIT way, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, the Center for Entrepreneurship, they have their own. So everybody defines their own processes and policies. But here, just to pick few, is understand who is your customer. It's a person. What can you do for your customer? Again, a person. How does your customer acquire your product? Again, a person. What is the business model? How do you make money or fund it? That again you're going to get from a people running those businesses. An algorithm is not going to give you money. There is somebody who's put some decision rules there. So how do you design and build your product? Again, comes to people. And how do you scale your businesses? Because if you don't have somebody to buy or scale to other places, Amazon would have been a history. So also any other organization that you can remember. So to break down into these points, there are very easy sets of these 24. You can play it as a game, gamification. The youth loves it, and build that on understanding market segment, which is the exact area that you want to do as the flagship beachhead market means the main flagship market. Build an end user profile, personas, very, very important. Teaching them to do that. Time to market, detailing the customers, as I talked about. What can you do for your customers, like the full life cycle of the product, qualifying the value proposition, defining, charting, understanding the way decision making happens, and of course the business side of things, very, very important. And finally, about the higher level of understanding the design part of it, and lastly the scale. So when you talk about scale, we have to teach them on the point of view of human centricity again. So there are three primary skills that kind of end up to aggregating, and I'm going to move into some soft areas here because every entrepreneur, and you are an entrepreneur as an educator, to innovate. First of all, the delivery mechanism, and you've done it brilliantly. It's just to push the limits a little bit more. So, for example, we don't think through, but ours is a very rich heritage of understanding and going into mindfulness. Today, if you look at the various reports, the understanding of yourself has become more important. So intuition plays a very high role. And the question is, it is not like a difficult thing like you take some heavy weight lifting or protein powder and build muscles. It's different. There are three things you can do based on habits of outstanding entrepreneurs, and you'll see that the prioritization of what you believe in, your inner voice, taking breaks from hectic lives, and doing a balance of understanding what your capabilities are and building that into a positive workflow within thought flow within the people, and observing those inner voices and acting upon them, and practicing mindfulness. Very important. A stressful person can never be able to get that out. Second being creative thinking. Creative thinking is very, very crucial because the difference is creative. The World Economic Forum's, we saw the 15 list, and the surprising fact that just 2 of those out of those 15 were talking about technology. The rest involved critical, analytical thinking, resilience, creativity, And companies like Adobe have found that investing in creativity is far more exceeding in getting the output of people. And companies like Google, they have 20% time off for all of their employees to do anything. That's where they have the Google X, or certain other entrepreneurial areas, or even Google for startups. Every cohort, like this last 2 months, I've done about 60 startups. I see a new face all the time, and I am very intrigued to ask them, what are you doing? They say, I'm a data scientist. So in my 20% time, I want to serve the community. I want to understand what is really happening in Jordan, or something that's happening in a small startup from Kerala, or another startup from Assam. From all over the world, we keep getting, and it's interesting to see how people are building on creativity, to that matter. Of course, the picture says 1,000 words. Is to have the leap of faith, the boldness, the audacity to jump out. And this again, I have no feeling shyness about bringing Gen Robotics back into the picture. Is they took the bold steps where they could have built robots and made themselves famous. They saw the newspaper article of nobody in the world would think about making a robot for manhole scavenging. Who would think of that? Because those guys can't pay anything. They can't pay for themselves. What they'll pay a robotic company? But they took the bold step. They went forward, built from their own technology in the labs, and came forward. And today are a name to reckon with, having changed policies and built. Those kind of examples are there. There are many others, of course, who take the boldness of step. But the flip side of this is that most of these startups, out of 100, I see 2 or 3 of them making really big. Many of them don't make it to the end of the tunnel, or light at the end of their tunnel, for that matter. And that's sad. Many of the times the experiences are missing. So user experience, customer experience, or as we call it in human factor research and design, human-centered experience is very important, because there is learnings, there's patterns, there's behavior, there's modeling, and so on. And there's the bias that we talked about. So keeping human-centered experience as the central equation for any project strategy, even the way we want to change our programs, is to do with the strategy first, and then the implementation before we get onto the journey. So you have to set our thermostat right, that okay, if the person, I want to make him an entrepreneur, how am I increasing that thermostat and putting it forward? And that is through, do I have enough time on hand, Professor Vishal?
Yes, sir. You can carry.
Okay, stop me, because I have a few slides very important for me, because I'm moving to explain the power of how do we set a thermostat. And this begins with the understanding that empowerment happens through words. Empower students with the power of words. There is a psychology about the power of words. And as I told you, and we made some experiments, if I said, think of a fruit, or if I say, think of a pencil, or think of something else, think of an animal for that matter, each of you will have a different picture, because words have power to build. If I say, think of a tiger, now suddenly the image in your head would all change. Now, I'll ask you a simple experiment again. Close your eyes. Please close your eyes. You can at least close your eyes. I'm not looking at you, but you're looking at yourself. You're conscious. Close your eyes and think. Just for a second, think. Don't worry about Google. Don't worry about the screen in front of you. Think that you're on a pristine mountain. Pristine mountain is a nice, calm mountain. Mist is blowing, and the rains have just finished with the lush green, small grasses there, a hint of freshness in the air. Let's forget about that. Let's see, you're in a crowded street in Kerala, one of the most crowded places. Forget about that also. Let's think you're in a fish market. I come from Goa, as my background is. I'm a vegetarian, but I know people love fish. And if you're a vegetarian, then let's go to a flower market and think about what would a flower market make you feel like. And okay, forget about all of these things. Just be at your home. Think about the wonderful ambience around you, and open your eyes. How many of you actually saw and felt any of those images that I made up for you? Whether it was the top of a mountain, or a smelly fish market, or a crowded street, or suddenly the home, the noise in your head. Did you hear it? Hello?
Yes, sir.
How many of you actually, so I'm hoping, because I can't see the screen, I'm hoping that you all saw some bit of it at least, because we are visual people. So my words, I just spoke words, but the images formed, text did not form. You didn't see a notebook with pages of writings on a documentary of a particular market or a mountain, and a mountain consists of these biological plants, and none of that, right? You saw the pictures in your head and you had a feeling. So there is a power in the words. And what is this? Words, they're all around us. In the way we build and we teach terminologies, requirements, discussions have words, interfaces have words, instructions on your manuals have words, how to do something, for example. Or when you go to a factory setting, there are knobs and all that have words. Doors have push, pull, exit, and so on and so forth. When you see the word, you realize what to do. Doesn't matter which language it is. If you understand the language and it's written in text, you know what to do when you read it. Even bus routes and, for example, all of those. When you go to the airport also, you see those. So words are vital to experience communications. Very important part on building that understanding. That one of the most important skills to have, I believe so, is the understanding of psychological aspects of how we communicate and what we communicate through our need for entrepreneurship or essential skills. Skills will happen, but if it's not human-centered, we have a problem at hand. So let's look at how words are vital to us. When words are spoken, there are reactions: negative, positive, smells in the head, sounds in the head. All of those things can happen, even though there are no physical ones. Either thoughts are triggered, emotions fired, actions performed. If I was rude, abusive, shouting at the top of my voice right here, somebody would have just bumped me off this meeting, right? Or if I was overly, kind, or if I was in a certain manner acting in some ways, we see these things and say, why are you making so much noise? Why are you so soft? So we give flavors to those conversations, flavors to the things that we find around us, including a product. A product can scream at you, a product can be tender, a product can be soft, more lovable, all of those kind of things from the description you give it. So words color our behavior, and so also of our businesses and of what we do. So let's take a pause here and to understand just words and move deeper into the meaning in them. Okay, the psychology of words. If you disagree with me, we can chat on another time in view of time. It is important to remember that my speech indicates what is in my mind. When I'm saying mine, take it as your own. Okay. As the thinking is, so are the words uttered. If your thought process was that, like if I say give, and I don't complete it, you won't know what to give me. Okay, may I have a glass of water, a paper, a book, a pen, a seat, a meal with you? There has to be an end sentence. So as we think, so we utter the words, and therefore the actions come. Mental calmness makes up for your word calmness. Uncertainties and fear does not give rise to innovations. So a pure mind makes for pure words. Very important. An agitated mind has a set of agitating words, motion circling in the mind. A person out of extreme rage has invented something is very rare. Very, very rare. It's only destruction that comes out. So likewise, our teaching outcomes, all of our teaching outcomes towards being an entrepreneur needs to nurture these, because they don't know, but there is passion, and somebody has to guide these things. So words produce thinking. I said fruit, you thought of fruit. So words produce the thinking. I said a garden, I said a mountain, you thought of all of those things. So words produce your thinking. The thinking produces an emotion and feeling, disgust or happiness or joy or whatever those things may have been, a positive attitude or a certain kind of emotions, feeling. You pull down a student saying that, what nonsense have you done? Is this the way I taught you? You blah, blah, blah. and you will see that that student will never prosper. You'll always have that and carry, and sometimes if they're at a younger age, it'll carry for the rest of their lives. So, and at the same time, even the mistakes or whatever it may be. I was reading a lovely story this morning. I'll skip it, but it's about a student and teacher. How the teacher was positive towards a mistake and encouraged the student, and the student never forgot about it. The teacher forgot the incident, but over some 20 years later, 25 years later, the teacher was retired and the student went back. He says, because of so-and-so gesture of yours, today I'm at a different level. So that's very important to understand. Emotions produce decisions. This is a no-brainer and easy to understand that for us. So, and decisions produce action. You are able to build a robot. You are able to build an AI that can solve. You are able to build the first electric car that can fly around. An Indian-born product, which is now bigger than Facebook and Apple or Mercedes-Benz, or whatever you can think about, for that matter. Those are decisions that can be producing actions, because the words that have been empowered to have them. Because the actions produce habits, constant good habits for the people to innovate, to be an entrepreneur, to constantly be moving forward. There's so many entrepreneurs who, because of the actions they took and the habits that made them fall flat, they've given up. But can we change those habits? Yes, we can, because habits give rise to produces character, and as we all know, the character is responsible for the destiny, and we are all known by a character. The character of an entrepreneur, the character of a person producing different skills. So be human. Don't forget, being human is what is important. Technology can't solve everything. Bots, autofills, layers, digital tech shouldn't be as complicated. People expect human-centered interaction at some point. This is the balancing part of reality, or what I call balancing reality, is to be very human-centered. With that, I come to the end. Thank you very much. You can scan and connect with me on email, or I will stop sharing. If you have any questions, we can take them now. I hope this was useful.
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Anybody has any questions, Vishal?
Yeah, the session is open for question. If someone has a question, please ask. Yes, Abdul Latif sir, please.
I've given my LinkedIn connect if anybody wants to connect and discuss further, is most welcome.
Or else you can have your question in the chat box also.
Dr. Ramatuza, I'm so grateful to you. Thank you so much.
Sir,
I know I'm in the presence of such dignitaries, and I spoke some very trivial things maybe.
Thank you so much, sir, for your excellent presentation also, because actually today we are expecting that that is, the session was somewhat serious, but it is so simple and understanding. That is a very, very nice session, sir. We enjoyed a lot, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. I feel we should be first human-centered, and I strongly believe in it. I travel a lot now, not in the pandemic, but earlier I used to travel like 8 or 10 countries minimum in 2-3 months, and meeting youth, meeting younger people, and it breaks my heart when they fail and see them depressed. So I'm actually proud of all of them that have touched or crossed paths, and they've all been successful. Their companies are $1 million old. They're very prosperous. They employ many more people. So those are the important things that come out.
Vivian sir, we have a question from Trijo. Kindly give some suggestions to motivate our students for innovation and entrepreneurship. So that's a good question.
Yeah, so try to have workshops and sessions with them and interactivity. You know, it's very important to give voice. One of the things that happens is in a class of, I don't know how many people you have, 30, 40. There are minds which are very good, but they don't speak much. So when you involve them to practice something like design sprint, very popular, and I offer it to MES free of charge from our course where we have from our University of Design or from Human Factor Research and Design. We will teach your students maybe a day or two of how to do design sprint, or even the professors, and it will greatly help you. So that's very important to add there. That's one. Second one is building up a lab where they can experiment. Making lab is not expensive. You don't have to have machinery in all of those areas. We can even do very simple ways where they can experiment. For example, you would be surprised that my first lab was nature. We had gone to the Sayadri mountain range, and we were 7 days with only sticks and ropes to build and stay in the wilderness, eat from the nature surrounding, find out what we were taught, how to locate and find, live. And that was the training of my scouts as a scouts master. And 7 days changed my life for a long time. Next was on a beach in Gorai in Mumbai, which that time was beach plus jungle. Now, of course, it's a city. This is a long time in 80s. And now those skills, those survival skills of living, making things, being sustainable. Today, the world talks about sustainability. But we need to understand circular economy and sustainability from such experiments. You can do that with your students. Is there any research happening in the area of design and instructional material for students community in connection with university design? Yes, a lot of research is going on. There is one research we completed called PAIR, People and Artificial Intelligence Research. It's very important to Google. You can search for it. There's a whole workshop and all the material is made open source. You can download that, or you can ask for a workshop. We can enable that for you. Or you can. There are many open source. Even the design sprint of Google, that is also open source. I can share the link with you. Sprint stories. Let me just share this with you. Give me a minute, and I will give you both these links. Please check your chat, and you have one resource. I will also give you the People and Artificial Intelligence Research, the guidebook. The workshop is also there if you look for, and you can use these resources to construct the workshop very easily and deliver it to your teams. Both of them are in the chat. And of course, you can connect with me and we can do some customized help for your students. If the students are successful, I think we all are blessed with that itself.
Sir, shall we arrange sessions online itself, sir?
Yes, you can. You can arrange an online session anytime. Most welcome, because a lot of MES boys are my boys now, because they left from Vishal and all of you, and they are with me. So I'm very grateful for your institution to produce such gems, and I'll be more than happy to have a few more.
Okay, thank you, sir, thank you. Because nowadays in India and especially in Kerala, the number of students is increasing, but we have to find out difficulty to start with some entrepreneurship programs for the students. That's the main problem that we are facing now. And the students are also, they are not in a position to do the, they won't enter this area directly. They are having a fear. So for avoiding such cases, it is, I think it is very good for the students to give such sessions.
Yes. So, ma'am, what we did recently, we had 150 students from Delhi to Kanyakumari, Assam to Mumbai, and all over in between, from all kinds of colleges, all kinds of background, engineering, commerce, arts, architecture, you name it. And 60 to 70% of them were very fearful. Some of them were having even physical challenges to under. Some of them were depressed background and all kind, because they were the pandemic pass out. Pandemic pass out means they didn't have the regular pass out. It was all online and they were not getting jobs. So what we did is, me and my partner Sabina, she's the co-founder, CEO of our company. She's based in Bangalore. We established a program with a well-known organization, Cognizant. All of them were hired, and within 2 weeks, just 2 weeks, all of them were ready and bold, really bold. And they spoke, and the managers were surprised. And these 150 churned out more than 25 entrepreneurial ideas, which were, the VP of the company said, we will sponsor these projects. And they, first of all, they got jobs. Second one is, they all produced these ideas in a matter of just 2 or 3 days. The program talks about cognitive psychology, it talks about design frameworks, innovation, thought processes, cognitive psychology from the way of mindfulness. Because technology is one part. You can teach a skill, engineering skill, you can teach it. It's not difficult to understand, because maths and all of these, with due respect to those areas. But how do you teach skills of overcoming fear? Correct?
Okay.
So those are the important parts. We mix all of these around and we empower and give this. And as I'm committing here, and it's not being recorded, we will give it to your students. 2.5 day workshop of ours at no cost. We can work it out.
Definitely, sir. We will do it, sir.
Most certainly. You're most welcome. Okay, so I've overshot my time, I think. Thank you so much. I am really, heartfelt gratitude to Professor Vishal and you, ma'am, and everybody else in this team for bearing with me. If I spoke too much and brought around certain skills, I'm sorry about that, because mural and other things are digital skills, and we must, as teachers and professors, must know digital tools as well, because today and tomorrow and the pandemic has changed things. It's very important. Faculty, yes, of course.
At
faculty.
least once you come over here, sir. At least once you come over here and see the beauty of Kerala, and at the same time, our MES College of Engineering. It is a beautiful monument for you, sir.
Absolutely. I'm a vegetarian. So I'm 100% vegetarian, and I have been promising Vimal and Rashid that I will come to Kerala for sure.
Yes. No. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
And Muhammad Bhava KH, Dr. Muhammad, yes, I will. If you have need for the faculty, we can do a program for the faculty also.
Okay, sure, sir. Sure.
For the faculty, we will even give it a certification. Okay, thank you so much. Okay,
thank
have a
you
nice
so much,
evening.
sir. Thank you.
God bless everybody.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
The good work.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir.
So before leaving, someone please, can you have some feedback about the session, please?
Feedback from Sharon.
Vishal, may I take your leave, Vishal?
So just a sec, sir.
Yes.
We on behalf of everyone, I would like to express appreciation for your inspiring presentation on balancing reality today. Your years of research, your depth of understanding of user interfaces, and your ability to present the subject in such an interesting way produced one of the most memorable hour in our FTP. I personally appreciated your approach to anticipating users' intent. The subject intrigues me, and I plan to learn more. Thank you for your inspiring speech. And I know it's too late for you. Good night from India. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, good day. God bless everybody, and see you soon.
Thank you.
sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir, you can leave, sir. Feedback form has been sent in the chat box. Please fill. And next session will start in